Hi everyone. Welcome to Secrets Behind the Stars. All the juicy details are in today's video. If you enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. You can go the extra mile by hitting the join button below to help us keep bringing you the stories you can't stop talking about. Thank you, and let's dive in. The Turkish entertainment scene woke up to a whirlwind again, and at the center of it all is the magnetic, endlessly scrutinized Barış Arduç. One brief reflection from him, offered casually, almost like a passing thought, has cracked open a fault line that now runs through sets, dressing rooms, and screens across the country. His words didn't just make noise, they rippled straight into the world of Elcin Sangu, and the aftershocks have drawn in hand Ursel and Kerem Bürsin, too, dragging old narratives into the light and stirring up a storm that no one saw coming. It all started, according to the earliest whispers in the celebrity press, during an off-the-record conversation when Barış let slip a line that sounded less like a comment and more like a confession. People talk endlessly, yet reality rarely matches appearances. Most accept the surface while the truth sits elsewhere. Simple enough at first glance, right? But fans heard the tremor under it. Was he hinting at hidden feelings, misunderstood alliances, or a private truth living behind a public smile? In the hours that followed, the phrase traveled like fire through a dry field. Those closest to Elcin Sangu say she was blindsided. She's known for being poised, warm, and measured, but this time, the emotion was immediate. One source describes a night she spent with her phone pressed to her ear, voice raw from talking with friends she trusts, trying to parse how a single turn of phrase had dragged her heart into headlines again. She didn't expect it, they say. She didn't ask for it. And when the calls stopped, the silence felt heavier than usual. Here is where the story folds back on itself. Fans remember the chemistry that turned Barış and Elcin into a phenomenon. Their partnership was a lightning strike. One of those rare on-screen alchemies that doesn't fade when the credits roll. For some, it was always just work, a professional miracle. For others, it was a sign of something that never fully had words. And now, with one thoughtful sentence, that old spark is the center of the room again, hot and unblinking. Meanwhile, Kerem Bürsin chose to keep his thoughts to himself. The choice immediately split the commentariat. Some insisted it was the only respectful option. Silence is not indifference, they argued, but restraint. Others took it as distance, a studied refusal to step into a mess that isn't his. Whatever the motive, the quiet added tension to an already supercharged moment. As the story took over social feeds, Kerem's stillness became part of the story, the blank space everyone wanted to fill. And then there's Hand Ursel, whose name surfaced not because she acted, but because the collective memory of fans is long. Old interviews resurfaced, old clips resurfaced, and suddenly people weren't just comparing notes on what was said, they were panning through years of footage, cross-referencing looks, pauses, and smiles. The past, already mythologized, started to feel like evidence. It's the kind of ritual the Turkish fan community knows well. When a fragment appears, they build mosaics. By midnight, the algorithm surrendered. Trending tags, opinion threads, and speculation reels took over every platform. Some fans defended Barış, claiming he spoke like an artist burdened by the mismatch between truth and spectacle. Others felt he lobbed a pebble into a quiet pond knowing exactly how big the waves would get. And then there were the ones who couldn't stop asking how Elcin Sangu must be feeling, like she had been thrown into a conversation she never consented to join, asked to hold a mirror up to questions she didn't ask. Reports from the entertainment press suggest that Elcin's closest confidants encouraged her to breathe, to wait, to let the noise crest and fall. She's no stranger to intensity from fans, her following is affectionate, protective, and relentless. But it's different when the spark comes from someone who has shared the tightrope with you. And because it was Barış Arduç, because his voice carries a special weight in conversations that include her. Those words squeezed their way into the space between them, even if just for a night. In the midst of this, the community around Kerem Bürsin seemed resolute. His team declined to offer a position beyond the familiar refrain that he prefers not to involve himself in controversies. It was professional, clinical, controlled. But the absence of warmth got people talking, too. Should he publicly support Elcin? Should he back Barış? Or is the best choice to let the dust settle and avoid turning a delicate situation into a pinball machine with too many paddles? There's a reason these stories spread like perfume on a crowded elevator. Turkish show business thrives on moments that feel microscopic and monumental at once. A phrase, a tear, a refusal to speak, each detail becomes a headline, then a debate, and finally a myth. With Barış and Elcin, it's always been like that. They have the kind of resonance that makes even the smallest motion echo. Inside groups close to the three artists, the mood is hushed. No big statements. No sit-down interviews. No clever clarifiers. Just watchful attention and the steady click of managers conferring behind closed doors. Some outlets insist that Elcin is weighing a short note to the public, something dignified and clear, just enough to hush the chaos without fanning it. But for now, it's just talk. And talk, as we have learned, is the combustible part. As for Barış Arduç, he has slipped into deliberate quiet. It's not uncommon for him to take his time and let a conversation breathe before he adds another line. His followers are split in their expectations. Half ask him to frame the quote more gently, to explain what he meant and who, if anyone, it was aimed at. The other half say he shouldn't need to annotate honest speech. They want him to keep his dignity intact and let the world make its own peace with uncertainty. It begs the obvious question. Is this careful silence a strategy or simply a sign that some truths don't owe anybody a caption? That question doesn't have a neat answer, but it is driving the frenzy all the same. Because when stars choose stillness, we start listening for subtext, and subtext is where obsessions are born. Meanwhile, fans are busy drawing lines and erasing them just as fast. The devotion around Elcin's Sangu is palpable. They see her as a woman who has carried herself with sincerity, who protects her private life even when it refuses to protect her back. They want tenderness for her. They want resolution. Above all, they want clarity that does not break what they have loved watching for years. And the ones who champion Barış are mounting their own defense. They say he's not cruel or careless. He's thoughtful, sometimes too honest for a world that confuses nuance with turbulence. They argue that artists are asked to live in a glasshouse and then blamed when the reflections don't match the angles we prefer. Of course, the conversation can't help but orbit the on-screen magic that started all this. The aura around Barış and Elcin has never faded. Even audiences who have moved on to new favorites still feel a tug when their names share a sentence. Whether it's nostalgia or intuition, it fuels a hope that refuses to die. And when hope meets ambiguity, you get a blaze. Here at Secrets Behind the Stars, we want to hear your take. Did Barış mean to aim a coded message at a particular person, or was he offering an artist's observation that spiraled the moment it reached the oxygen of social media? Tell us below, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next chapter in this saga. If you'd like to support our work, tap join. It helps us keep the lights on and the stories coming. The fallout isn't just PR. It's emotional. The intensity of the reaction says everything about how much the story of Barış Arduç and Elcin Sangu still matters to viewers who watch them build a world and refuse to let it go. They never confirmed a romance. They didn't need to. The idea of them was powerful enough to live on its own, and now every comment, every glance, every quiet day becomes fuel for interpretation. As time wears on without a definitive word, the tension becomes its own character. Friends stay loyal and close-mouthed. Colleagues avoid stoking the fire. Room after room, set after set, people check their phones and shake their heads, wondering what the next sunrise will bring, a post, a statement, a hint, or more eloquent silence. Some entertainment writers claim that Elcin is drafting a brief, careful message, something that asserts boundaries without adding anxiety. No one has seen it. No one will confirm it exists. Those who love her hope she doesn't feel forced into it. Those who worry about the chaos hope it comes soon enough to soften the edges. Kerem's camp remains clinical, no comment, no opinion, no oxygen. You can admire the discipline. You can also understand why it frustrates so many who have picked a side and want their favorite voices to echo back their feelings. In the vacuum, assumptions bloom like midnight flowers. And at the heart of it all is the man who spoke a sentence that could be read 6 different ways depending on where you stand. The request from his fans is simple: say what you meant. But maybe the truth is not simple. Maybe it's complicated and human, the kind of thing that doesn't shrink nicely for a caption or a press note. Maybe the point was never to make a mystery, maybe it was to remind everyone that not everything we clap for is the whole story. What is certain is that this industry runs on tiny details that feel cosmic. A phrase. A quiver in the voice. The faint sheen of unshed tears. A choice to say nothing. We gather them like glitter and then insist the pattern reveals something true. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it only reveals us. The enigma of Barış's Arctic and Elcin's Sangu remains unsolved, and that, more than anything, explains why the public's pulse quickens every time they share a frame in someone's imagination. Every development rekindles the interest of those who cannot help believing there is a thread connecting them that the rest of us can only glimpse at angles. Here at Secrets Behind the Stars, we'll be watching closely. Turn on notifications so you won't miss the next update. We'll sift through fan reactions, the possibility of statements, and what this wave might mean for projects that are already on the horizon. And since every story becomes a mirror, we're asking you, where do you stand? Do you prefer Kerem's measured silence or the open, aching honesty people heard in Elcin's long night on the phone? If there's one lesson after this week, it's that the thin line between truth and appearance is thinner than ever. One reflective sentence from Barış, offered without a podium or a script, has become a prism. It refracted long-held feelings, stirred old wounds, and caught light that many thought had dimmed. While the principals measure their words, or choose to keep them. The echo keeps bouncing from screen to screen, timeline to timeline, reminding us that even in quiet, stars can say everything. Thank you for watching Secrets Behind the Stars. Take care, and see you in the next video.